understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero in the universe.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, February 9th, 2019. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sara, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 3 new episodes this week. I don't know, the CW and Fox both decided to, State of the Union, we're just not feeling it. Take the Sunday off.
Yeah, well, you know, it really seems kind of mean. It seems really mean to throw a Supergirl episode up against the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, that's that little thing. But Supergirl, I don't know. I feel like we're not getting much Supergirl this month. I think it feels strange because we haven't had her on Sunday before. So this is the first time she's going to be up against Super Bowl and Oscars and et cetera, et cetera. So it is weird to me to have that much interference. It's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Sunday thing screwed up the schedule more than I expected, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they're trying to enter the Sunday market. It's going to be really hard for whatever shows they throw out there. But I think the fact that they're confident that they threw Supergirl in that position in the first place shows confidence.
So riddle me this then: why do we have no Supergirl this coming week? What's airing this Sunday?
That I don't know. I think they just decided, to give them 2 weeks off.
So then we get an episode on the 17th, and then we get off for the Oscars again, and then hopefully we have Supergirl until Game of Thrones time.
Yeah.
That was the noise of somebody who recaps Supergirl and therefore won't be able to watch Game of Thrones live because I have to be watching Supergirl.
Okay.
Although Ed has just rocked me to my core by telling me, I'm sorry, what was that, Ed? I watch Game of Thrones?
I don't watch Game of Thrones. This is one of the things that people get very upset about when they meet me.
How do you talk to anybody ever about anything? I just don't.
It's the kind of thing where, first off, you can't be around a viewer of that without them just leaking spoilers. So, I kind of get the gist of what's going on. I know all the major players. I watched the first season, and there's no need to rehash that, and and I want to keep the listeners that we have. So,
Mm-hmm. All right.
Mm-hmm. So, Sara, did you see any movies this week?
No, I've been such garbage at getting those Oscar movies watched. I've seen nothing. I've seen no Oscar-worthy movies. I've seen no garbage movies. I nothing. I'm trying to think what I did this week. DC TV?
Okay.
Russian Doll?
Okay. Yeah, I had run out to theaters to catch a couple of hard-to-find documentaries that were nominated. Free Solo and Hale County this evening. Fun.
How was Free Solo? We talked about this on Twitter a little bit, you and I, but yeah. I get kind of vertigo.
Free Solo was amazing. It was breathtaking. And also I got to see it on IMAX, which really puts you in a sense where, you're holding on, and at a certain point you think the horizontal is the vertical.
That sounds terrible.
But it was very, and the thing that I find even more interesting about that is that it's a character study, and trying to understand why this person does this, and whether or not it's a healthy thing. the main subject of Free Solo. It's about a guy who climbs mountains without any protective gear or ropes. Um, and he's a very interesting person, and a very different type of person. It's interesting to see like what makes him tick, and how he operates in the real world. But yeah, so I found that interesting, and the thing that's kind of distressing, best documentary is one of those lesser categories that the Oscars have said that they may give out some awards during commercials, and so you'll only get snippets when they come back from commercials of like 10 seconds of a speech. And
the Oscars need to get right with the Lord. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, I'm just confused. So I've been trying to tweet out, there's a hashtag called PresentAll24. So yeah, that's my Oscars talk for this week. But yeah, I really think that especially with the craft categories and like the foreign language and documentary categories, like, this is the only time they're going to get any kind of national recognition. And to me, that's the reason to watch the show, is to find new stuff you wouldn't see otherwise. And I think that they're taking those moments away from those people is a crying shame. And that's the Oscar talk for this week.
Tune in next week, though.
yeah. But we want to, we're here to talk about DC TV. And I'm sure we'll get into food later along the way somehow.
It's inevitable.
Yes, but Sarah, you want to dive into the episodes?
Yes, let's get into this first episode of the week, which is a very special episode.
Yes, and I know you have a heart out, so we gotta get through this. But we're gonna kick it off with Arrow, Season 7, Episode 12, Emerald Archer. A documentary crew filmed Oliver and Company for a film that focused on the pros and cons of vigilantism. A psycho with souped-up armor kidnapped Amiko and appeared to be hunting masked heroes. William came home and Felicity noticed he was really bummed out. Last-minute reveal: in the future, Black Star and Connor Hawke used footage from the documentary to find the abandoned orrery.
Hey, Kelsey Grammer. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Come back.
That was fun. I thought that was cool.
I thought the documentary so nicely mimicked actual documentary style. A lot of love and attention went into that portion of the episode. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, I thought that was very good. I also liked that it wasn't the whole episode.
I felt differently. I wanted the whole episode to be the fake documentary. I wanted them to commit and make it the whole thing.
Yeah. I feel like I guess they could have done that, but I feel like it would have gotten tiring after a while. And the fact that they did break away, because also like the way they constructed this story, like certain things wouldn't make sense if they were in that movie. So you did have a moment where Oliver could sneak away and kind of like talk with certain people and say, hey, this is what's really up.
Yeah, you couldn't have done the stories they did if it had been all documentary, but part of me just kind of wanted them to really make it the whole hour of just that. And I thought the challenge to tell a story within that confine would have been kind of interesting, but it's not what they did, and that's fine. And they gave us amazing cameos. Opening on Quentin's face was just, that's how they warned you. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
It'll be hard to watch. You're going to feel things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And it's also like the fact that they went back to Simone, who was Roy's friend from the first season, who'd helped out the Birds of Prey. I completely forgot about her.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it almost makes me want to go back. Like, what happened to her? Was it just kind of like a contract thing, and she sort of disappeared, or like what's up? I feel like after season 2, she was sort of gone.
Yeah, the show does that. For me, the biggest return was Rory. Aw, Rory.
Yeah.
He was the best of the newbies that season. And to bring him back like that was just a cruel reminder of what we could have had. But no, we have Dinah bossing Oliver around.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. They didn't know what to do with that character, and the effects for Ragman were too expensive to make him in every episode. You know, kind of like what happened with Legends and Firestorm. Yeah.
And it's possible if he had stuck around, we would have. Well, I would have fatigue the way I do with Renee and Dinah and you know the people who are not the core original cast. So it's possible that's just he got out before all of us could get irritated. But boy, this show increasingly is feeling less and less about Oliver. And I guess that's where they're headed. And it was weird to say that in an episode that's about Oliver Queen, but there it is. So but boy, the billionaire playboy Oliver Queen flashback footage in there, season 1 Diggle, Felicity being Oliver's staunchest defender, good stuff in there, really good stuff.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff. What did you think of the bad guy in this episode? Chimera.
Honestly, he didn't really register with me. I was enjoying the rest of it so much that he just felt like an afterthought of an afterthought to me.
Yeah, it felt like an interesting idea. It also felt like really, really close to Cicada on Flash. And I thought it was interesting. Like, it's a similar problem, but they're able to figure it out in an episode, whereas Flash is going to take a season. But
they only have all the resources of Star Labs. You know, give them a break.
Yeah, that's true. But
but yeah, Emiko just wasn't quite as present in this, which again makes sense because we're talking about the history of Oliver Queen, and we haven't really seen that yet. Question: should we be talking about Felicity as Overwatch? I mean, is that a role that she should be identified as having held since we see the other vigilantes sort of getting unmasked and discussed? Does that do her a disservice, do you think?
Maybe. I still think Overwatch might be wanted by federal authorities.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
So, and also, you know, to see how she's rubbed off on William, where...
Okay, William. We need to have a talk, young man.
Yeah. I really enjoyed when he went to visit Zoe and Renee's just kind of like watching from the other room.
Oh, see, I hate that. I've got a gun and a daughter, and calm down. But I do like that it sort of parallels the dynamic we're seeing in the flash forwards with Renee and Zoe and William. So, I mean, I like that we see kind of the seeds of that. And I like that William and Zoe have that relationship. I never ever like that. Like, you let my daughter make choices on her own and I will hurt you. But no, in general, I kind of wanted to shake William. You would have been murdered if you had stayed around. They wanted to do that for your safety. Don't be awful.
Yeah. He's a punk kid. You know, he's a stupid teenager. Doesn't know different. But the fact that, you know, he can hack in and create a report card for himself. I
mean, you got to know that makes Felicity like proud mama bear.
yeah, and also absolutely terrified at the same time. But it's also kind of like weird. Like I'm wondering, like, where is that going to go now? And this makes the future stuff even more confusing. Like, if he got expelled from that school, like, then where does he go that he gets separated from them for 20 years?
I am so depressed by those flash forwards because every question it makes me ask has a terrible answer. I'm concerned that Black Star is going to turn out to be Felicity and Oliver's daughter. And if so, that's a horrible future. Horrible. Every question that it makes us ask is just like, well, no, the answer to that is everything went wrong. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's funny on Twitter. A lot of our people were tweeting at us, trying to figure out who Black Star is, and she could be Oliver and Felicity's daughter. Some were saying that she might be Laurel's daughter. And like
or she could be no genetic relation to anybody ever. I mean, it could be any of those things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that she's related. I think she's someone else that we don't know. I don't think you have to connect all of the dots in that fashion. But, we'll see. We'll see,
Well, again, I say if she's the Olicity daughter, the thought of what would have had to happen in the past, which is our present, to make her grow up that way is unspeakably awful. So in that light, I do hope she's no relation to anybody, and that it's a random person whose past was terrible, which feels like a bad thing. I'm wishing on that random person, but there you have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pivot to an up note. Grant Gustin's cameo was adorbs.
Yes. That was good. That was fun. I thought that was really cute. And trying to figure out, oh no,
what?
I
he's the Green Arrow.
There's a darkness in him. Oh, I didn't know who he was.
You think you know a guy.
One other quick thing I did want to clear up, because this, with the Black Star, one of the other things that those tweets are talking about is they're confused about who Connor Hawke is, and whether or not he's Diggle's son. If you remember, there was an episode of Legends a couple of years ago, where we got Connor Hawke is John Diggle Jr., but he just changed his name to Connor Hawke for some reason.
Sure.
Yeah. Connor Hawke is actually Oliver Queen's son in the comics, who took on the Green Mantle for a while in the 90s when Oliver was dead. So I get but that's who they're referring to. He is John Diggle Jr., but he just calls himself Connor for some reason. And he's hanging out with Black Star in that finale, in the end of that episode.
See, and changing your name from John Diggle Jr. also feels like something really bad happens to make him be Connor Hawke.
Yes.
With an E.
Yeah. And, Diggle working at Argus, I'm surprised that he's allowed to record that interview in his Argus uniform.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Argus operating manual to understand better what they are allowed to do.
Yeah. But this was a different episode, a different element take on it, but I think it still moved the main story of the season forward.
Yeah, it did. I will say it did. It could have not wallowed. That's the wrong word, but it could have really gone down the rabbit hole of sort of self-congratulations to have reached that episode milestone. But it was brisk. It advanced the football. That's how that expression goes, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
I don't know. I just watched my only football game of the year, and nobody advanced anything in that game. So
yeah, it moved the chains. All right. Was any news for Arrow?
Just an interview with Kat McNamara where she promised a lot of information to come in those future episodes to help explain some things. The first one starting with this week's episode, she said there'd be a big bomb drop of information this week, and then they'll continue to come from there on out, which makes sense given where we left them at the end of this past episode in the abandoned bunker. So we're going to apparently find some stuff out. So stay tuned.
All right. Moving forward. Next episode is Black Lightning, Season 2, Episode 12, The Book of Secrets, Chapter 2, Just and Unjust. After being attacked by Markovian spies, Lynn realized that Agent Odell was having her followed. Jennifer was reeling after Khalil's death. Tobias had Todd research the metas they stole from the ASA and work on waking them up. Anissa went after a 100 gang leader who was beating his girlfriend. Last minute reveal, as Khalil's casket was lowered. Jennifer promised him she would take down Tobias, and Agent Odell was watching.
So this was another episode that I thought did a nice job of balancing the supernatural and the day-to-day. Well done, show.
Yes. Yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah, this was another one, where our characters were all over the place. You had a lot of different storylines going on. And just I'm trying to figure out like where to start. I just
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like Jefferson was really kind of like taking a back seat in this episode. I feel like he really wasn't the main focus.
But we got the boxing workout, which I appreciated. So,
yeah,
he got his cardio in.
Exactly. Yeah. And Gamby was doing a lot more legwork, trying to locate, the people who attacked Lynn, and Anissa. Like, oh man, I think she needs to talk to more people before she goes out on the limbs and makes the decisions she does.
I feel like when she's in the official costume, she's okay, but when she puts on the, like the street costume, that's when she's going to be making decisions that are ambiguously moral.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they call you Blackbird. I think was that the moniker they gave her?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Blackbird. Yeah, I miss Thunder. I don't like Blackbird. And I
mean, Blackbird does things for reasons you can kind of understand, but it's still just like, oh, you're gonna get hurt and you're angering people. You shouldn't.
Yeah, and I'm still not convinced Grace Choi wasn't in that relationship against her will.
That relationship kind of happened quickly and understatedly. And what's up with your tattoos, Grace? I'm worried about you, baby.
Yeah, and she skipped town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also super curious about the origin of those comic books. There obviously has to be a local artist there, right? Doing like a local comic book about local heroes. And I really want to know more about that. I'm genuinely hoping that's a future storyline.
Yeah. What's funny? Like this happens in a lot of superhero movies and TV shows where like, because it started as a comic, like, the fact that in the new Spider-Man movie, there's a point where he reads Spider-Man comic books. And one, I think that's weird to do a comic book about a living person, a living hero, but also the fact that there's got to be some kind of copyright issues, and that no one made a payment for life rights. I feel like there's got to be some kind of legal recourse here, and I'm surprised that no one's ever written that story. And also the fact that, this is a real person, but we're doing a fictional comic book. Like, what are you making up? And like, I don't even know if I'd want to read that, knowing that it's absolutely, something that's made up about a real person. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking way too much about this. I'm getting so bogged down.
So, in the fan fiction world, there is a whole subsection of real person fic where you're like, yeah, I like Jim and Pam, but I'm going to write something about the actors who play them. Mm-hmm. You would not be a fan of that, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. So I spent most of the episode being like, why did they choose Markovia? I'm so confused because Marvel has Sokovia. Why do they have to sound so similar? It actually took me a second to be like, oh, well, they have the Accords. Wait, no.
So yeah, if you watched Young Justice Outsiders this season, Markovia really it plays a major part in that, because the Outsiders are formed after an accident in Markovia. In fact, Geoforce, who's an outsider, is a Markovian prince, who was whose powers were created in a lab by Dr. Helga Jace. So they're it looks like they're going to, because we've mentioned the Outsiders before. Grace Choi in the comics is a member of those. So it looks like they're trying to create the Outsiders on Black Lightning, or the Outsiders minus Batman. So, you know.
Although we do have Batman in this universe now, so
yeah,
we could.
Yeah, we could. But you know, Helga Jace that they're mentioning Markovia. I'll be very interested to see if we get Geoforce showing up on the show by the end of the season. But that's where they're going with this.
Cool.
All right.
Let's see. I just a quick shout out to Jennifer. I enjoyed the scene at the school with the civil disobedience and the kneeling and everybody having the video out. I mean, that felt very true to the real experience, just like with the Anissa dealing with the domestic violence in the clinic and having to try to figure out a way to do it since the hospital staff don't call the cops. This is a show that does real world issues really well, mixing them with the fantastic, and I really like that. And that principal at the high school is still a tool.
Yeah, he's a total cake eater. But I was really confused. Like, I don't understand how he thinks he's going to win. Like, what's the strategy here? You know, like in doing that, all you're doing is making yourself look completely insensitive and turning everybody against you. What are you hoping to accomplish by calling her out like that? Like, I just don't understand. Like, there was definitely a much better way to go about that situation. And to me, it almost seems like stupid and unbelievable.
But it gave Jefferson the opportunity to say, that seems like a problem for the principal, and drop the mic. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It is weird to me. That principal remains a very odd choice by the school board if they were actual people, because he doesn't seem to be a good fit for the school. And he behaves in ways that no principal probably would. So,
yeah.
Or maybe principals are terrible and it's just been too long since I was in high school.
Maybe. Also, that like when he lashes out and talks, kind of talks about white man's burden to Jefferson in his office later in the episode, that was just like, oh, bro, come on. Can't be that stupid.
My dude, no.
But all right. So yeah, that's going on.
That's the episode.
Yeah. Jennifer, man, I hope she gets it together. Yeah.
I will say she did demonstrate more control over her powers this week, which I thought was cool as well, that we are seeing the evolution of her control and her ability to not just burst into flame. And when she's feeling those strong feelings, that I thought was impressive.
Yeah. And,
But also, I'm a little bit Emperor Palpatine about it because, like, give in.
Yeah. Also,
I want to see her just unleashed.
Yeah. And Gamby finished her costume like weeks ago. Like
oh yeah, he's probably been like updating it for 5 years, just waiting.
All right, was there any news for Black Lightning?
No real news, so that's probably it for the week.
All right,
for that show.
All right, our third and final episode for this week is The Flash, season 5, episode 13, Gold-Faced. Barry and Ralph went undercover to a black weapons market looking for a piece of tech that Caitlin needed for the Metacure. Iris was looking to attract more readers and began digging deeper to find Cicada. Eobard Thawne instructed Nora to distract Sherlock by finding him a girlfriend. Last minute reveal, Sherlock put his research on Nora aside, and Nora was smiling that she could move forward with Thawne's plan.
All right, you got me, Flash. I want to know what's going on with Thawne and Nora. You got me.
Yeah. Well, like, what's the deal here? What's going on? Like, this is, this is interesting.
I mean, none of us actually think Nora's evil. We just think she's misinformed and misguided, right?
Yeah. Although it's kind of weird how, like, her blinders with her dad. Like, she kind of, she had that one moment where she was questioning, but the fact that she still trusts Thawne, period.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how long I should wait before going into Iris's reporting.
Ed, that's not how it works. That's not how it works, Ed. A review of a new blog is not going to keep it for... Okay, you got me. I'm the one who wrote the review. It was me. I wrote the review of Iris's new joint, and I kept her from getting readers. It's me. I wrote it. I'm the anonymous reviewer. There, I said it.
And, is she still a newspaper? Is she a newspaper now, or is she still just a blog? In which case, it's just a blog feud. And
I honestly, like, what is the thought of somebody reviewing a newspaper? Show, I want to love you. You're making it so hard. Also, what's with the breaking and entering, Iris? Be better. Ugh. All right. I really liked the rest of this episode. I just had to get that out of the way. Thank you for bringing it up.
Well, I thought it was really exciting when she was trying to hide and then she got caught.
I thought she deserved what she got because she broke and entered. It's just so here's the thing. Journalism professor hat on. If your actions would lead people to wonder about the ethics of your reporting like that, you shouldn't do it. Like if they say, oh, how did you get this information? Oh, I broke into his house. That's not great. That's not, you always want to not, we have enough of a crisis in journalism with credibility and respect and Iris, no. And what really burns me, it paid off. Her terrible reporting ethics paid off.
Well, you don't want to report. You want to report the news. You don't want to be the news.
Exactly. Also, I'm starting to question Chris Klein's acting choices as Cicada. He seems to have one note. I had high hopes for him, but it's just a very growly note. That's his acting.
I think that's a writing thing. I don't think they're not giving him much more to work with. It's also because I know Chris Klein is capable of being much more charming than he is.
I just wanted you to stop with, I know Chris Klein. He would never do that. Chris is a friend of mine. So
yeah, no. But yeah, you're right. He is very scowly and,
yeah, you're right. The charm thing, I know him from all the teen movies he did. And if he had a little bit of that in this, I think that would make him a more compelling villain. But you're right. All they give him to do is like sit in a darkened house and glower. And there's not a lot of, we need to see something other than him scheming with his nurse cohort and then glowering.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as nuanced a character as he had in Just Friends.
I was thinking election, but okay.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's...
He actually... His line at the end of election, or maybe I'd be dead, is something I actually say a lot in real life. It's one of those lines from that movie that's just stuck with me over the years. And when people start asking what if questions, I often will be like, or maybe I'd be dead. And that's thanks to Chris Klein's line reading. Okay, enough. We need to talk about Barry's evil necklace. It was amazing. I am extremely here for evil Barry.
Yeah, I mean, he and Ralph, I thought, blended in very nicely.
Oh my God. I loved every iota of that whole plot line. Barry's cool evil. As always, when you have a good character go evil, even fake evil, it's so much fun. And Barry was calm and collected and scary. And the raid on the building set to Dracula was perfect. I've watched it 3 times. It was amazing. I loved it. I want to be cast as Sue now. I think I have certain feelings for Ralph. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, and that scene did turn into a video game. And I did like the acknowledgement at the end when Ralph goes...
All that Red Dead paid off.
Yes. Because it was, at a moment, it was a little jarring. It was like, what is this? What is... Okay. All right, fine. Yeah, no, it looks really cool. So let's just go with it. And also at the end, like, what did you think of Goldface, the bad guy in this episode?
I had a really hard time overcoming that ridiculous name. And I thought his ending was gross.
Yeah.
Those are my two main thoughts.
I also like when you reveal that he's a meta and what his abilities are, and that, he's got, like he has a thin layer of skin over like pure gold, and the healing factor and everything else. I thought that was really interesting. And then, when he electrocutes himself and you just see the gold just like spew out of his eyes. And there's one moment like, oh, this is really bad, but like he did it to himself, so if he's dead, and then for Barry to go, he's still alive, like there's a pulse, I just went, oh, come on.
I was still reeling from Barry being like, it's fool's gold. No, Barry, you got to work on your quips. That's not.
Yeah. Also, I really hope that he develops that alter ego of the chemist.
Oh, so much. So much.
Because the chemist is so much cooler than Matches Malone. Bruce Wayne's alter ego when he goes undercover.
If I can just be Captain America for a second, I understood that reference. I think I also really enjoyed that whole thing because Dragula. Oh, hang on just one second, Ed. Just a second.
Sure. Sara. Oh. I wonder if Sarah's doing something with her cats. It maybe a cat wandered in and she has to deal with them, and that's why she muted herself. I'm talking over so that, maybe I don't have to cut this whole section out. I may end up doing it anyway. I'll see how I feel. If I think it's entertaining. So yeah, we were talking about the Flash and Goldface, and the chemist. I hope Sarah's okay. I hope the cat's okay.
Okay, so here's what happened. I'm sitting in a room with a window and a black cat just came trotting down my front sidewalk. I have a black cat, and I was like, oh shit, is that my cat? Because she is not an outdoor cat. It's not. My cat's inside. That's just some black cat. Okay, that was a weird interruption. I'm really sorry.
Did you hear any of my vamping?
No, I didn't. I ripped my headphones off. What were you vamping with?
Oh, at first it was silence, and then I was trying to, maybe I should just say something just to cover this. Maybe I could use it later. And, just basically speculating that something happened with a cat.
It was. It was a cat. Well, of course. I mean, that's all we have in the house is just cats doing stupid things.
Yes. Yes. And I hope everything's okay. And it turns out it is.
We live off of a really busy road, so I live in fear that one of our sweet, precious vomiting angels will get out and wander to the road. So, but this cat was just walking right down my sidewalk, just like, doo, doo, doo. So.
I gotta write down that episode title: "Precious Vomiting Angels."
Oh, I'm ridiculous. And that cat is lucky I didn't swoop it into my house and make it another one of my cattery. So, anyway, what I was gonna say before I got distracted by this is why I need to record in a closet so I can't see the outside world. I also super love that Assault song because I don't know if you know this, Ed, but my go-to karaoke song is Dragula. That is my number one go-to start the night right with Rob Zombie. So I extra enjoyed that really weird scene.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Yeah. Good to know.
When I come visit all of y'all on the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
And we go to karaoke because that feels like a thing that would happen.
Well, I always want to sing Soul Man, and then someone will usually make me sing the thong song. I don't know how that happens, but
okay. Well, now I do have to come to the East Coast to see all of this go down.
Yes, yeah, and then inevitably after I finish, someone will walk up to me and remind me that I'm very white.
Wait, what? I've been laboring under a misapprehension this whole time.
So yeah.
Do we need to talk about the wives of Sherlock before we start spiraling out of control?
Yes, the Council of Adlers.
Did you know that it would be the same woman? Did you expect that? Because I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't expect it, and I was charmed.
I had a sneaky suspicion. Also, when in this Earth, he runs into Renee Adler, which is a funny take because Irene Adler is the lady in green in the Sherlock Holmes short stories. She's the woman that got away.
Well, she's the incident in Belgravia, if you're a Sherlock BBC Bandersnute Cumberbund fan. Yes.
And so yeah. So I thought that was a nice wink and a nod. And
who was such a good character in that version of Sherlock until Moffat went and Moffated up her backstory by making her not operating under her own steam. I have strong feelings about that still all these years later.
Yes.
Such a great introduction, such a disappointing payoff. Okay.
So yeah. What did you think of Nora, setting all this stuff into motion, and, introducing, and you realize, like, yeah, no, probably, like, getting married for the 8th time is probably not the best thing for him.
Yeah, that actually was one of the least, like, that's not cool, Nora. That's real manipulation for somebody who clearly has a thing for this woman. And but at the end when they start talking, it's just like, oh, well, maybe this one will be the one that takes.
I'm interested to see,
this one will work.
Yeah. I'm interested to see, like, how he screws this up. Because, like, this is the kind of thing where, like, he keeps meeting the same woman and it goes so well, and, like, where does it go wrong? Like, to me, that's the funny thing to imagine. Like, how does he screw this up 7 other times?
Well, and I was so excited for Kimberly Williams Paisley, who was cast as the Adlers. What fun for an actress for them to be like, okay, it's a guest starring role, and you're going to play 5 versions of the same character. That super cool.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was fun. Cool stuff. And, Nora, like, oh man, what's going on with Nora? What's why is she smiling? Why isn't there the faintest bit of hesitance in going through with all of this? But all right.
Well, and gosh, I hope they can pull this out without Nora looking stupid. I'm worried that Nora's going to realize, oh, I was wrong all along. He's really a bad guy. And it's going to be like, yeah, he's literally locked in a cage. Like, yeah. So I just hope they can write this in a way that preserves some of her intelligence.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, that was...
Or just make her a villain. That'd be quite a twist.
Maybe. I mean, that's basically what happened in the in every episode of the first half of the season was yeah, she braced forward and then realized she made a huge mistake. But we'll see.
And that was my least favorite part of her character in the first half of the season. So I need them to fix that.
Yes. Any news for Flash?
We have a Flash Build-A-Bear available at Build-A-Bear.
Oh,
there wasn't a lot of news.
How cute. How fun.
So you have 2 choices. We are not sponsored by Build-A-Bear, but we would accept your sponsorship dollars, Build-A-Bear. One is a bear in a Flash costume, and the other is a bear made of fabric with the Flash logo on it. So you have your choice. It's really, really adorable, actually. So if you're looking for that Valentine's gift for your bear loving comic book fan other, or for yourself, the Flash Build-A-Bear.
All right. Build-A-Bear. There we go. Is there okay. All right. So then let's go on to news for other shows.
All right. So we have some casting news for Batwoman.
Batwoman music.
Rachel Scarston has been cast as the villain Alice. This is interesting on 2 levels. Number 1, Scarston played Dinah in the 2003 Birds of Prey, so she has some DC cred. And number 2, her character Alice is the head of a gang inspired by Alice in Wonderland. So I thought it was kind of interesting that we're getting a hint at who the villains might be in this new show.
Well, Interesting that I won't give any spoilers here, but if you know Red Alice from the comics, if they go in that direction, she could have a very interesting connection to Kate Kane. Also, I think it's funny because she said she's going to be head of the Wonderland gang, which is a gang of characters all inspired by Alice in Wonderland. And what's funny is in the comics, those two don't work together. But evidently in Batman comics, there's a Red Alice, there's a Mad Hatter, and there's a Wonderland gang. And the three of them have never really worked together before, which I find very humorous. I think Mad Hatter's worked with the Wonderland gang a couple times, but they're sort of three separate entities. Which is
it makes me wonder why the Gotham writers over the years have gone back to Wonderland as an inspiration for unaffiliated bad guys. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's and it's also I think it's just, different writers get different ideas from the same places. Scarecrow's a Wizard of Oz character, so there's literary allusions that find its way into Batman all the time. One other thing with casting, we had a fun tweet from Bauer Fett this week saying that he's praying Batwoman does not cast Vicky Vale or Lois Lane. I don't think Sarah's synapses could handle it.
Well, there's always the hope that they would do journalism right. Mm-hmm. So, I'll remain an optimist.
Okay, yeah, I'd be interested to see Vicky Vale.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. All right, what's up next?
Gotham. We have a look at Batman that dropped in the TCA, the Television Critics Association sizzle reel last week. So the TV critics who were at that event saw Batman suited up in Gotham. So what they're going to do is use David Mazouz's face and voice, but they have a 6'4" actor playing Batman. So apparently they think that the Bruce character still has a growth spurt or two left in him.
Yeah,
or else the Batman suit has lifts, serious lifts.
Yeah, I'm not sure I buy this. I'm gonna have to see it. Especially like if we're gonna do a flash forward and we're not gonna meet Bruce Wayne, or are we? Or what's going on here? Yeah.
It is a good question because they've said, this article said an episode or two has an extreme flash forward. So does David Mazouz play an extreme flash forward Bruce? Do they digitally age him? I'll be really curious how they handle that. Or do we only ever see Batman? And I don't know. You have my interest, Gotham. You have my interest.
All right.
And then the other little bit of news, Ed, this is the most important news we've ever reported on.
What's that?
In the history of the podcast. This is an IndieWire article looking ahead to the end of Gotham and how all the characters are transitioning for this extreme jump ahead. And this is directly from the article. When asked how his character of Jim Gordon would physically change in the new season of Gotham, Ben McKenzie said, well, they only had to add one thing for me. Do you know what that means?
He grows the stash! He's going to grow the stash!
He's going to grow the stash.
He's going to hashtag grow the stash. Oh.
It finally happened.
Yes.
Also, Donald Logue said that Harvey Bullock doesn't need much work since he himself can play between 40 and 78, depending on the circumstances, which I also thought was really funny. So
that's great. All right. That's exciting.
Yep. All right. Moving on to Lucifer. Here's a show we haven't talked much about, but we're just waiting to drop any day now, basically. At a recent convention, Tom Ellis was asked if Lucifer and Chloe would end up in a relationship together, and he very strongly hinted that yes, that's a thing that's going to happen. Lucifer's going to have to learn how to be a boyfriend to Chloe, and that it's not is he going to be good at it, but it's kind of like how bad is he going to be at it. So, going by that, yeah, we might see some relationship business between Chloe and Lucifer.
Exciting. Something to look forward to.
Of course he'd be a bad boyfriend. I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah. I also can't wait for him to yet again turn to Detective Douche for help.
But really, who else? I mean, think about the cast. Who else could he go to for boyfriend advice? Detective Douche is the only option, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have a couple of bits about some of the DC Universe shows, starting with Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
Brian
music.
Tyler will compose the score for Swamp Thing. Fans of cinema might know his work from Crazy Rich Asians, Avengers Age of Ultron, Iron Man 3, Fast and Furious. It's a pretty big gamut there.
Yeah.
Rom-com, superhero, whatever, Fast and Furious, action, car action, Vin Diesel action.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's good.
Cool.
Let's see. Stargirl. We have some
music.
casting there. Meg DeLacy from The Fosters is going to play Cindy Berman, who is the son of Dragon King, who may follow in her father's footsteps. I'm sorry, the daughter of Dragon King, who may follow in her father's footsteps.
Okay.
And then Jake Austin Walker from Fear the Walking Dead has been cast. We don't have any information about his character.
Okay, so some casting, and one of them is probably going to be a bad guy. All right, and he said the Fosters was what she'd been on before.
The Fosters, yep.
Okay,
which ended fairly recently, so yeah, good for her for getting employment.
Yeah.
Moving on to Pennyworth.
Pennyworth music.
At the TCA Critics Association organization event, the Gotham folks talked about Pennyworth because it's the same. Bruno Heller is doing both, and he described Pennyworth as 13 degrees darker than Austin Powers in look and tone.
13.
I have questions.
I mean, that's very specific. And it's
a weirdly precise unit of measurement.
And it's oddly not as dark as I thought it would be.
So look and tone are two very different things. So I was kind of expecting Swing in London, you think bright poppy colors, things like that. So I understand them saying 13 degrees darker with the look because they don't want it to be quite so garish. I get that. That's fine. That's disappointing because I would have liked that, but that's fine. But then tone, you have to go more degrees than 13, don't you? Like to go from Austin Powers to a Batman story, it's got to be more than 13 degrees. I don't know what the degree scale is for this.
Yeah. Like how do you go 13 degrees below? Do I make you horny, baby?
I feel like 13 degrees from that is more like, well, do I? Like it's still pretty wacky.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
I don't know. Because they've described the show as a hard R. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a hard R. And I don't know. Maybe Epix is going more towards like, I don't know. Because this the other thing is Epix as a network really doesn't have an identity.
Yeah, so where last week we defined the Cinemax identity, this week we are saying Epix is a big question mark.
Yeah.
This is their chance.
Yeah.
Well, what's kind of funny is my husband and I were talking about Gotham just last week, and he doesn't love Gotham because he wants the camp with the look of the 60s show. He likes that brighter approach. And so is this, I mean, are they saying we're going to get a brighter, I don't know that, but it's funny that might be addressing his issue with Gotham. If Gotham was just a little bit more vivid with the storylines and the actors we're getting, he'd like it a lot more. Maybe that's what Pennyworth is going for. I doubt it, but maybe.
I don't know.
That'd be cool. The other component of that conversation they had at TCA was it's going to be an alt history London. So just like with Gotham, where it's a city we don't quite recognize, London is going to have a little bit of difference because it's not quite our London. And they are going to be they're going to be using classic villains in British literature. So, we might see villains we recognize, have read about, kind of reinterpreted for this universe. One of the examples they gave was Jack the Ripper's descendants might make an appearance, which, I mean, that's not literature, that's history, but whatever.
But
but that sounds really cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. Do we get some Dr. Jekyll? Do we get some Dracula showing up here? Like, I'm trying to think who are the bad guys of British literature. All right.
I feel like all the James Bond villains, right?
That's British
yeah.
literature. I mean, I'm thinking like Victorian literature. I'm trying to go back to like.
See, and I would just be referencing like all the air quotes bad guys in all the Jane Austen books. So like, Lady Catherine de Bourgh is going to show up just to put you in your place with a withering put down. If this show gives us some sort of Lady Catherine de Bourgh homage, I will marry it in a civil ceremony. That would be amazing. Okay. Last news of the week is big news. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Y: The Last Man,
Y
which is going
music.
to be known as Y, is getting a full series order, premiering sometime in 2020.
Yay! 2020?
That's so far away.
I know, but we know it's coming, so that's good. That's good. It's at least a year away. That's good. That's okay.
If I can call back to earlier in this episode, Ed, but maybe we'll be dead. It's so far away. They also gave us a first look, presumably from, the pilot. And it's a still of Yorick with the monkey in the cage with the kind of hazmat suit. It looks ripped straight from the pages of the comic. It looks pretty great.
Yeah, with the poncho and the gas mask and everything. Yeah. Now, one thing I found curious when I saw the headlines, it kept saying that this is a Diane Lane show. That this is, this show starring Diane Lane and Amber Tamblyn, which I find really weird because like it's not. I mean, if they're gonna go by the comics, Diane Lane's character's not around very long, and like Amber Tamblyn's character is supposed to be like missing for most of the series.
I understand that they're going with name recognition, but it is a little bit like, and this is how we got started talking about Game of Thrones this morning before we were recording, like saying Sean Bean is starring in Game of Thrones. Oh my God, great. Yeah. A Sean Bean show.
Yeah.
I guess. But, this show is adding characters. We've seen adaptations that have taken real liberties with the storyline, so who knows what they have planned. But sure, the Diane Lane show. Why the Last Man?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I guess Barry Keoghan and Imogen Poots don't really put asses in seats, but
yeah, well, not yet. Maybe this is the star-making turn.
Maybe. But either way, we're getting Why the Last Man. I'm excited. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. 2020. See you there.
All right, and that's all the news. So now it's time for our winners for the week.
So, can I do two this week?
Sure, why not?
Because I realized there was a thing I wanted to bring up at the top of the episode and I forgot, so I'm going to shoehorn it in here. So my runner-up winner of the week is not a DC show at all, but the CW show Supernatural aired its 300th episode this past week. It was incredible. It was an emotional hour. It was wonderful, blah, blah, blah. But the angel Castiel appeared with another angel who referred to him as Constantine, which killed me because Castiel wears the trench coat and the kind of the rumpled suit and was modeled after Constantine in the comics. And so that acknowledgement that Castiel has the Constantine sort of inspiration was real funny. And I enjoyed the DC shout out in that very much. That's my runner-up. But for actual in-show winner of the week, honestly, Ed, I gotta go Red Dead Redemption. It got a shout-out after one of the most delightful scenes that I've ever seen in DC TV when Barry and Ralph assaulted that building with stun guns in the Flash. It was incredible. Thank you, Red Dead Redemption, for giving us that Rob Zombie soundtracked action scene.
Yes. What's funny is my winner is also tangentially related. My winner is Kesley Grammer for the great job, but also because I got home one day this week and I was feeling a little down, and my parents just happened to have Frasier on basic cable. And it's this one scene where I think it's Felicity Huffman playing. Basically, Frasier's going out with his station manager, and she's just putting down all of his family members, calling out Daphne as being a bad therapist and, just basically saying mean things to everybody. And they play Pictionary, and, she accuses Daphne and Niles of cheating. She says that, the dad is playing loose with the timer, and she's just basically being a really horrible person. And she chokes on a peanut, and Frasier doesn't notice, and you see everyone intentionally not help her. And then Frasier realizes what's happening. He goes, "Oh my God!" Helps her, sends her into the bathroom to wash up and put water on her face. And then he just turns to the other family members and goes, "Shame on you!" And it's this incredible speech where he just chews them all out. Like, how could you? I don't care how mean she is. She's the woman I love. You're a horrible person. Yes, I love her, and yada, yada, yada. And then she goes out and makes fun of Frasier's hand towels. And then without missing a beat, he just goes, "Get out." You keep me out, get out! And it was just this incredible scene. I think I tweeted out earlier this week to a YouTube of the clip, and it just, that show I grew up on, and to me that scene was just the way that scene is balanced, and the comedy in there is so perfect. And I wish that there was more of it on TV today. And so, yeah.
So, long story short, "Shame on you" is now the ringtone for our executive producer, Bill Sweeney, right?
Yes.
In your phone?
Sure.
Well, that was a collection of incredibly random
winners
of the week.
So, yes. All right. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, Doom Patrol premieres next week. We've got a new show coming on next week. So I'm excited to talk about that.
So let's see, no Supergirl, yes, everything else, and Doom Patrol.
Yes. So yeah. And Gotham comes back, and yeah. So that's what to look forward to for this week. That's it for this week. That's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
And I'm at Sara Netzley, SaraNetzley.
Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and rate and review us. That helps more people find us. Check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam.